Senator Inhofe.
Mr. Secretary, this week we've been talking about the 250 troops that would be deployed, additional troops in Syria, and then 217 in Iraq. How many boots do we have on the ground now in Syria and Iraq?
In Iraq, the total is around 3,500 now. I just want to remind you that that's the force management level.
Yes, I understand.
It's not like it, the way we do it everywhere else. And the special operations complement that we're multiplying sixfold is from 50 to those 300 in Syria.
Okay, General Dunford, talk a little bit about rules of engagement, because a lot of times they talk about train and equip. We know that train and equip would only include defensive activity in certain areas. Where are they now on that?
Senator, you talking about our forces?
Our forces, yes.
Our forces on the ground. Number one, they're going after ISIL, so they're unrestricted in going after ISIL. That includes our air campaign. And then if they're under attack and there's positive identification of enemy and a hostile intent, they're authorized to engage.
Oh, they are. Okay, that's good. Now, the question that I have is, the second question is all of the activity. We have, during the course of this hearing, not really talked about anything outside of Syria and Iraq. When other things are happening right now, they're talking about in Reuters yesterday, the Islamic State has greatly expanded its control over territories in Libya, militants claiming key positions, and all of this. Our Director Clapper recently warned that ISIL is spreading in Europe, that opens the borders across Europe, have allowed ISIL to plant sleeper cells and so forth. General Rodriguez, who is the commander of AFRICOM, has said that the ISIL force in Africa has grown to 6,000 in the past year, with a major presence in eastern cities. And we talk about eastern cities, we talk about Libya, we talk about Tunisia, we talk about Algeria. But now it's gone down further. It's in sub-Saharan Africa. We're talking about Somalia. We're talking about Nigeria. And I have friends who say that even in the Central African Republic and the Eastern Congo, it's becoming apparent. Now, my question is this. When we developed AFRICOM to start with, it was developed without resources. They have to get their resources from EUCOM and other sources. And that being the case, it's what is happening right now. I think if we say that we had a strategy to contain ISIL, that the strategy didn't work, that we are not containing ISIL. So we talk about our troops, what they're doing up there, the train and equip programs in Syria and in Iraq. But what about these new areas that they're going into now? And how we're going to be able to resource them should we have to? What are your thoughts about that?
I'll give a start, and then the chairman's been working on this very much also. You're absolutely right. We have seen, and Director Clapper, I'm not familiar with the specific testimony, but I'm sure it's absolutely right. And you know Africa, of course, extremely well yourself, Senator. There's a mixture of two things going on. One is a rebranding of existing extremist groups signing up, so to speak, to ISIL, and the other is newly inspired or newly funded nucleuses of groups. Both of those are of concern, and I wouldn't say containment, I would say destruction of ISIL wherever it emerges is the right strategy. And it can't end with Syria and Iraq. That's necessary. It's not sufficient. We need to do it elsewhere, and we are both following those developments really closely and taking some action, some of which we can discuss here, and I'll turn it over to the chairman at that point.
Yeah, Senator, before your answer, is Rodriguez right when he talks about the number of the 6,000 number down there?
I agree with that assessment, Senator.
Right.
I agree with that assessment. Right now, with regard specifically to AFRICOM, AFRICOM's conducting operations in West Africa, in East Africa, and in Libya. General Rodriguez recently developed a concept of operations for support of Libyan forces and the Libyan government. We have, as a result of his concept of operations, reallocated resources. The Secretary made that decision about a month and a half ago, to reallocate resources to AFRICOM to further develop the intelligence that we would need to support operations in Libya and throughout Africa. We're also working closely with the French in West Africa and with a coalition in East Africa.
Yeah, and in sub-Saharan Africa, down there, all the activity now in Nigeria, the same thing?
We also have ISR in that area and are working with partners on the ground in that area.
Good. Thank you. Thanks.